Hi everyone, so this narration is to accompany the short 360 video I took of the chamber, the House of Representatives, during this parliamentary introductory tour of the Parliament House in Wellington today at 12 noon. It was quite a large group. There was about 20 of us. I was one of 20 people. We were permitted to take photos when instructed. So this was one of the first rooms we're allowed to take photos in. Understandably, it's the room where the media would gather. That's where we were allowed to sit, where the other people are in the tour there. Like you can see the back of someone's head there. That's where the media would sit and ask questions to the Prime Minister on the left podium, or to the, I think the Deputy, I can't remember the title, anyway, the second in command. So the Prime Minister would stand on the left podium, and the, I guess his first officer, shows how much I took in the tour, the first officer would stand on the right podium. As part of the group participation, the tour leader, Sarah, is very knowledgeable, asked for 2 volunteers to be the Prime Minister or the Deputy, and I put up my hand first, and she elected me as the Prime Minister role play, and another gentleman was the first officer. The question that were posed to both of us were, how do you feel about children having to do homework, something like that. My question wasn't as direct as the other person who's playing my deputy. I said something along the lines of, since we all went through the pandemic, maybe we could have a more, like a shared or balanced experience with homework, with kids being able to do homework through Zoom, or, because they already had that experience when they worked from home, alongside traditional ways of doing homework. Oh, what did the gentleman say when he was playing deputy? He said something about the emphasis shouldn't be so much on homework, something along those lines. So at least we gave 2 opposing ideas. So that was that chamber, if you can call it that. So that's where we're allowed to take photos and have a bit of a role play. The next section here is Sarah, the tour guide, told us about this clock. It was donated from Britain. It was sourced from Britain, and I'm very poor with history. In many subjects I'm poor at, actually, but history is one. Sarah was saying that historically in England there was a period of time where there was high taxes if you wore a watch. And that sounds crazy, but yeah, if you wore a watch or displayed a watch on your wrist, you would be taxed more heavily. So clocks like the one on the wall that you can see were created or built for pubs, so that people could see the time. Sarah noted that the front of the clock, where the hands are, doesn't have any glass casing. It does kind of look that way because of the reflection, but there's no glass casing, so that it would be easier for people to look at in all directions, I suppose, whether you're sitting, in the pub or a public gathering space. And naturally enough, Sarah also told us that the watch industry plummeted during that high tax period, where people were taxed for publicly displaying watches. Seems ludicrous. I can't remember what the context was, why that was instigated. Anyway, it was basically to highlight this clock on the wall, why it doesn't have a glass cover, and why it's there. The room ahead of us is, we went through 3 buildings, all interconnected, all indoors. This building housed the Parliamentary Library, which is not for public access, not even for a tour group. We're allowed to see it just from the lip of the door. The purpose of this library is for the staff within the Parliament House. It's got obviously library books and textbooks and paperwork, all to do with the Parliament, I guess, and other resources they might need to access. So I'm surprised one of us didn't just run in and go like, oh, I'm inside. So yeah, we're allowed to take photos in this section. It's just another shot of the clock there. And yeah, I just took a shot with no other people in the tour standing in front. And this was the interconnecting hallway that led to the library section we were in. And out one of the windows there's a, is it a lizard? It is a lizard. Initially I thought it was a crocodile because I walked quite fast and snapped it as I walked past. And this is the 360-degree shot I took of the chamber, the House of Representatives. We were allowed to take photos and video here, so that's what I did there. Yep, I think that's the last of the photos, I think. Yeah, the next one's not to do with the Parliament tour. So yeah, it's really interesting. Where this 360-degree has ended is where the media would be stationed, where those two flat screens are. The press would be allowed to be there, looking down into the chamber. So, journalists and I was going to say Spotify people. No, what do you call it? TikTok people? I don't know. That wouldn't really be classified as the press, would they? Journalists. Yeah. It's interesting to hear that. This might be obvious to you, but it was not to me, that the public are allowed to also sit in this chamber in the upper section, not where the press is sitting, obviously, but forward of that on either side, there's like a viewing gallery, and it's limited admission, sort of first come, first serve, I would imagine, but it's free, and you can sit in on, on one of the gatherings of the meetings in the House of Representatives if you want to. Respectfully, that would be one of the last things I want to do. I'm not really big on politics. I mean, I enjoyed the tour and learning about the architecture and the history, but in terms of, if I met up with friends, the topics of conversation would not be about politics. Not only not about New Zealand politics, about any politics, Australian or around the world. So yeah. So there you go. That was my experience on the tour. It was really, really interesting. I think it went for about an hour, but it didn't feel that long. It felt shorter, and yeah, it was great. There were one or two people that unconsciously or consciously disobeyed the no photo rule. The tour guide had to politely remind one person that please don't take photos in this section. So it actually wasn't that difficult for me not to take photos. I kept my mobile in my pocket as instructed, and when we're allowed to do so, people did, and when we weren't allowed to, most people didn't. So yeah, I recommend it if you're in Wellington to book online. Just look up the Wellington Parliament House, and there's various tours you can go onto. I just went on the introductory one. There's different types of content, but I just wanted an introduction, as this was very much the case. So yeah. Just quickly, maybe I'll just go back to it. The photo that was where the Prime Minister and the Deputy speak. Yep. Oh no, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought now. Oh, one of the other questions Sarah posed to us was, they said left and right of the podium, someone would stand and do a lot of hand signals, and she asked, what do you think that would mean or might mean? I think I didn't quite hear the context about the hand signals. I just heard the end bit, the question about having someone there giving signals or something. That's what I heard it. And I put up my hand and said timekeeper, and she said, oh, not quite. And then someone else said signing, for people, Auslan signing, people who need to communicate through signing with hands, symbolism. And Sarah taught us the symbolism of thank you. It's just putting your prominent hand, whether you're left or right-handed, to your chin, touching with your forefingers, and then moving your hand forward, like sort of bowing down your hand, and that means thank you in Auslan. So there, I know one sign. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and we all wore lanyards, so like the person to the right in the photo with that green lanyard and the tag, not only did it double as an identification that we're part of the tour, it also had a number that corresponded with your bag that was put in the cloakroom. So that's quite a handy system there. So for example, I had number 37, and therefore the bag that I brought was marked as number 37. So yeah, we also had stickers to identify that we're part of a tour group as well, that you just stuck to your clothing. There you go. That was the Parliamentary Introductory Tour at Wellington Parliament House today.